This is the Hollywood Outsider, our weekly entertainment podcast. For this week, we are reviewing The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, as well as looking at upcoming releases including Django Unchained and Les Miserables. Did I say that right, Scott?
You did, actually. Wow, congrats.
Score one for Peterson. The From the Outside In topic this week is, as next week will be mostly a best of show, this week we're each one of our hosts are going to pick a topic that they really want to talk about. And as always, the latest movie and TV news, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today, I'm my fellow host, Justin McCumber.
Hello, Aaron. How are you today?
Not as good as you, author Esquire.
Well, you're never as good as me.
Well, touche, sir. We will get back to your book in a minute. Brian Williams.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How much? And Scotty Clark.
Hey, what's going on, man?
How much? We are all just modest, humble people in the presence of Justin McCumber, whose second novel launched this past week, A Minor Magic. Did I say it right? Because if I say it wrong, it sounds like something dirty.
Minor Magic, yes.
How'd that launch go?
It went fine. I mean, I have no idea what kind of sales number, if any, it really had, but the little rankings on Amazon looked pretty good. So hopefully people are buying it, but more importantly, hopefully people who are buying it are enjoying it, because, you know, I want to get rich someday, but right now it's more about making people happy. Hopefully the time that they spent reading it will feel like it was worth it, and that they come away happy and wanting to read something else that I wrote. And
Nice.
Maybe the next one that comes out, they'll give that one a try too.
Well, we wish the best. If you guys are looking for a Christmas present or something else, A Minor Magic, it's available at Amazon.
And it's brilliant.
And that is a review. That's the number one review. It's brilliant.
Hey, this is our last show before the end of the world.
This is before the end of the world. I always forget about that. Mayans, if you guys are listening to this on Saturday or Sunday, they were wrong.
Actually, they didn't actually predict the end of the world. It's all just blown out of proportion, right? If you read what it's actually about, right?
Don't ruin it.
Spoiler alert!
Let's get people excited.
John Cusack will rescue us.
Get
It's
ready.
okay.
Sell everything. Run. Get in the hills.
I heard an advertisement on the radio for a jewelry store that said, "Hey, buy up the jewelry. End of the world, you have to pay it off." I was like, "That's awesome."
That's genius
Get
marketing.
a credit card, buy 1,000 copies of my book. You don't have to worry about paying that.
And this is our last recording of the year, too. Next week will be a best of show with some of our favorite topics of this past year that we've already talked about. And then the week after that, it's our Whole Awards. So I want to tell everybody before we move on with the rest of the show, what the Whole Awards are. We're going to award what we think is the best of 2012. Screw the Oscars. And if you guys want to send your picks for the top 3 favorite movies, your top 3 favorite movies of 2012, to feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com, we'll read all the number 1 picks on the air, and the flick with the most votes will win our whole movie of the year. So that'll be voter or listener chosen.
Nice. Do we have little statues of prostitutes, or that'd be kind of cool.
Wearing some torn fishnets, maybe some
that'd be kind of cool.
6-inch heels,
Oh, that does sound kind of fun.
some lesions on their lips.
I want to go to the statue guy and just give him that order. Hey, can you do this? And can you do it bumpy?
And they're all holding an award that looks like a syringe. Who wouldn't want that on their shelf?
I want one right now. Let's start with the movie news. Director Len Wiseman is finally talking about his Mummy reboot, which, if you weren't aware, the recent Mummy franchise is being rebooted already. And he says the film will not be set in the past like the previous 3 films with Brendan Fraser, nor will it be an adventure film, nor will it be set overseas. It will be a horror film set in America during the present day.
I think that's fantastic news. I'm really tired of reboots being nothing but just retreads of what came before. Him not going back to the well and making this more a horror film, which the original, Universal Mummy movie is good news. And I hope he succeeds at that. He has not done a horror movie yet. I mean, Underworld, sure, vampires and werewolves, but those were action films. Those were not horror films. I'm curious to see how he can handle a horror film and all of the things that are different about it from what he's done before. But John Spaeth, who is one of the people who scripted or wrote Prometheus, is on to script this. He did the writing before Damien Lindelof, shit, I was about to lose my mind, came on and kind of mucked with it a bit. So I think that guy's got some talent. I think Len Wiseman is a really good director. I've enjoyed the Underworld movies that he did. I really enjoyed Total Recall. Loved it so much I went and bought it Tuesday. So I want to see this. I want to see a horror modern day mummy movie as opposed to the last ones that came out. And I like the first Mummy movie. I even kind of like the second one. Third one, probably the less said the better. That first one was pretty good, but something new, I'm all for that.
Is reboot really the right word at this point?
Yeah, if rebooting it means you're starting over from scratch instead of a remake, which is basically what it seems to have been going on quite a bit lately.
Well, it sounds like it would be more of a remake of the original Mummy then, just set in present time instead of...
This is true, but they're taking... that's a good point, Scott. Scott had a good point. Hang on. Everybody write that down.
Hey,
I don't think it's a total remake, but because it's in a modern day setting as opposed to being back in the 40s and 50s,
right?
That time change kind of takes away a little bit of that remake
aren't
aspect.
pretty much zombies, like just modern day mummies.
Sheldon Cooper would
I mean, they're
disagree
both
with you.
dead. They both come back and slowly walk and try to kill you.
But mummies are wrapped in cloth.
And mummies won't turn you into a
Zombies
mummy if they
aren't.
bite
Therefore,
you.
they're not the same thing. I mean, come on.
They are both very slow. And
Well, depends on the movie.
And then but it's zombies are even worse because there's usually a lot of them versus one zombie.
yeah, but a mummy can't chew you. All that cloth in its way, what the hell's it going to do?
And a mummy has a brain. Mummy can think. At least that one of the other movies did.
Really?
He was a pretty smart guy.
That wasn't the most recent ones.
Anaxunamun.
And wow, Scott's been waiting a while to throw that out there.
Like 15 years.
A couple of casting tidbits, and I'm going to throw a last one at you, Brian, that you weren't aware of. There's some chatter that Jackie Chan will take part in Expendables 3. In fact, he's saying he will. James Franco is not likely to return for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and Hugh Jackman is officially confirmed to pop up in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Didn't we pretty much confirm that a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, but now he's signed on the dotted line. So now it's official.
Confirmed.
Yeah,
It's all right. So, okay, whatever. Good deal. Like it wasn't going to happen anyway.
exactly.
The Jackie Chan thing is kind of cool. I guess he tried to be he wanted to be in the second one. I guess he was busy with a different movie, so he agreed to be in the third one if he has a larger role than just a cameo, small bit part. So it's supposed to be kind of a buddy cop or buddy type role for him. So we'll see. I guess it's about time to get him in there. And and James Franco, not really worried about. I mean, he was good, but I didn't think the movie really revolved around him so much. It was really Andy Serkis to me as the star of that movie. So,
Well, I agree with you on that. I have some concerns because their relationship was really important to the story. So to me,
yeah,
he should be in it to some degree, at least to transfer the
throw
films.
throw in a few minutes of him, if even that much, kind of showing how I guess that he's dead or something like that. I'm fine with that.
You just want him dead.
No. I mean, I'm one of the few people who kind of like James Franco, but depending on the role that he's in, and I think that he deserves some sort of exit out of it if they're trying to work him out of it. I mean, apparently he was supposed to die in the first one anyway, so I guess now's their chance to kill him off. He's got to die at some point. I mean, they're going to flip flop the world. So
That's a
true.
good point.
That's true.
Back to the
Can't stand
Expendables 3 thing. I'm trying to rack my brain. Have we ever seen Jackie Chan and Jet Li fighting each other in a movie?
Yes, and it was in a Asian movie.
Okay, but nothing on the American.
No, not in an American movie. No,
because that would be pretty awesome. Again,
I want Chris Tucker to pop up.
because Expendables.
Jackie Chan is demanding that there's some kind of like buddy aspect to it. So I don't know why. Apparently, that's the only kind of movie that seems to work in America for him because the Shanghai Noon flicks and the Rush Hour movies. So maybe he just wants a buddy. So bring Owen Wilson and Chris Tucker. Just have them pop up in Expendables 3 for no reason.
No, that's a terrible
You shut
idea.
up. That's a genius movie in the making right there.
that is absolutely ridiculous. Please
That
do
is
not listen to
terrible.
Aaron.
Hollywood, make that happen. Make that happen. Tron 3 is being rewritten by Aragon writer Jesse Wogatow and director Joseph Kosinski, apparently the two hardest named guys in Hollywood, is already calling it the Empire Strikes Back of the Tron series. He is a ballsy motherfucker. And Garrett Hedlund is confirmed to return as well.
I was going to say the same thing. Those are some bold words to say that you're the Empire Strikes Back of the Tron series. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm like probably the biggest Tron fan here. And to say that this movie is going to be the Empire Strikes Back of Tron, wow.
It's the Empire Strikes Back of glow sticks.
No, come on. That's not that bad. But I hope they deliver. But they kind of burned the nostalgia card with the last one, with the story of Clue and all that. So it'll have to be something fresh to be good, but I don't know. Who am I kidding? I'm going to see it. It's Tron.
Do you guys think Jeff Bridges will show up, or is he kind of out of it?
I don't know.
I think he's done.
Yeah.
Especially that younger version of him that they tried to pull off. I mean, I loved Tron Legacy. I really thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
I did too.
The only thing that took me out of it ever was that younger version of him. Just, again, like we talked about in the Hobbit spoiler cast, it's that uncanny valley thing. The closer you get to looking real, the more imperfections stand out. And with him, it was way too smooth, too many imperfections. But I can't wait to see what this Tron 3 is going to be out. I'm definitely in for more.
Absolutely. I think it's also important to note, too, that Daft Punk is also supposed to return, too, into the music.
Oh,
now,
really?
they need to get Olivia Wilde to confirm to be back in it because she was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was the one thing I really liked about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a fan, but I really liked her. She was, adorable and really cool.
And that Daft Punk score was fantastic.
It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And the article I read said that they've actually got a lot of stuff from the Legacy movie that they didn't even use. So they've already got a good starting point, and it can only get better. So,
ooh, more neon. I like it.
You got to admit that as much as you didn't like the movie, it looked really freaking cool.
It's one of those movies where I think it looked amazing, but it did nothing for me whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw it in IMAX 3D.
Beautiful visual aesthetic. I mean, it looks fantastic.
I love how they did the whole 3D, the Wizard of Oz thing with the 3D. I kind of hope they do something with that again, but even go that much further. So.
Well, Fox is leading the charge with encouraging digital movie sales by releasing Taken 2, Electric Boogaloo, on digital HD, which means iTunes On Demand, etc., places like that, a full 4 weeks ahead of its DVD and Blu-ray release.
I think it's fantastic, and I love that they've been doing this. See, the only thing that makes me reticent to buy them early is when I don't know what kind of supplemental material the disc versions will have, as opposed to, say, the iTunes downloadable. I'm one of those guys that really likes deep supplemental material. I want to see behind the scenes. I want to see the outtakes, all those featurettes. Sometimes the downloadable ones don't have quite as many to go, especially though when you've got a disc that comes out with a free downloadable version included. Then you're getting 2 for the price of 1. But having them come out early, especially if it's a film that I'm more interested in the film than the supplementals, I'm a lot more likely to go ahead and buy it downloaded as opposed to just waiting around for the disc. And I hope they keep doing it because it's a little cheaper than getting it on disc. You're getting it earlier. You don't have to wait as long, and you don't have to leave your house to even get it. It's nice. It is really nice.
It's really the way that they're going. I mean, they're not pushing physical media nearly as much as they used to.
Well, they don't have to pay for a disc. They don't have to pay for the case and the cover and everything else that goes with it. It's just pure bits and bytes going across the tubes.
Not to mention there's no more secondary market anymore they have to worry about. If you want the
Right.
movie, you've got to buy it digitally. So
That's true. Man.
it makes sense for them to make money.
Way of the world. Way of the world. I'm kind of curious what a lot of other people think, because I like to collect stuff. I know Justin does. I mean, he's got huge collections.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way, and also the same way that I want to hear commentaries and that sort of thing. I like to hear that as background. It's great background noise for me. If I'm doing something, I want to hear the commentary of stuff. Where a lot of the digital releases so far don't have a lot of those additions like Justin was talking about.
It'll happen.
It will happen, but it takes up an enormous amount of space.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get to the point where we can just keep it in the cloud and stream it when we want it, I think that's when you start seeing. I mean for high profile movies, not just the stuff that you have right now. I think that's when you'll start seeing stuff go away.
See, I'm just the
Well, with
opposite.
iTunes, if you have iTunes Match, then you can do that. You can stream it as opposed to having to download it and keep it on your hard drive. Just keep it in the cloud, turn on your Apple TV device, and it'll stream it.
Man, brave new world.
Boom.
First world problems.
21st century, bitches.
First world problems.
First world problems. Vin Diesel news. We've got a couple Vin Diesel bits. Riddick finally got a release date, September 6th, 2013, and it will be on IMAX. One thing, well, I'll come back to that. And Universal hired Skyfall writers Neil Purvis and Robert Wade to script the adaptation of Kojak, which will star Diesel as the classic 70s cop.
I wanted to start with the Kojak thing because, as a fellow shaved head kind of guy,
Follically challenged individual.
absolutely. I'm all about this. I think he's actually kind of a pretty good choice to play Kojak. I mean, I'm not really I wasn't in love with the show enough to where I'm totally excited about this. Kind of curious as to what kind of direction they're going to go with it. But looks-wise, swag-wise, I think he's a pretty good call. So,
what do you have against lollipops? That's all I want to know.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Tiz will have those little scorpions in them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's that badass.
And scorpion lollipops. And they'll have some massive tie-in with, like, Tootsie Rolls or something. Now, what do you guys think about the Riddick date? Now, I want to stress for people that aren't familiar with box office and all that stuff, September, even though this is great that it's finally being released, September is considered the drop zone of most movies. January,
yeah, but so did January, and that's
January and
changing.
September, yeah. But September is, and this is right around, might be Labor Day weekend, I'm not sure, but it's a time that they put movies where they can't find a slot for them or they send them to die, which worries me because I'm a huge Riddick fan and I want it to have every chance to succeed. They did the same fucking thing with Serenity and it flopped.
I think those are days of the past where the dates matter. Honestly.
No, by box office, man, it still matters.
No, I know, but I think it's not declining. You're saying it's still that down.
The movies that open in September are very rarely hits. The Possession made $40 million. That's the biggest hit out of that time frame.
And that was
in a
The
while.
Possession. What was the last big blockbuster movie that came out in September? It's like they're avoiding it. I think we're coming to that nexus area where they're realizing that that's not the case anymore. Look at, like Justin said, look at January. January used to be a crap month for media, and that's turned around quite a bit.
So you think they're going to use Riddick to get that month going?
Maybe they see an opening, a soft, spot that they can put this movie in. No, big competition. We'll see. All I know is my ass will be in that chair.
Oh, I'll be there day one, and it's going to be in IMAX, so I will check out Riddick in IMAX. That'll be fantastic. And they are, for people that aren't familiar and haven't listened, they're taking it a little smaller scale. What?
I was just thinking, what if they, if it's out in 3D, but the 3D glasses look like his goggles? We could all be Riddick sitting there in the theater.
I would pay extra for that.
I was going to say
That would be kind of badass.
I kind of want to go see it in IMAX and just wear my swimming goggles now. For those that aren't aware, they are taking it smaller. They're scaling it back. It's not going to be as big budgeted and crazy as the last Riddick movie was. It's going more the low-key approach that Pitch Black went. So be prepared.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. Basically, our first movie here is kind of a little change of pace from our normal movies. We used to kind of do a lot of the big budget blockbuster popcorn stuff, but we're actually talking about a new documentary that's directed by Foo Fighters frontman Dave Grohl, and it's called Sound City, about the greatest secret in rock and roll. Sound City was the birthplace of some of the biggest albums in rock history. Artists from Fleetwood Mac to Nirvana, Johnny Cash to Rat, and even Cheap Trick to Chili Peppers flocked to record this in this kind of nondescript warehouse, and on its basically one-of-a-kind soundboard. So it's kind of a little story that's kind of like I said, put on by Dave Grohl, and kind of tells the history of this place and kind of how it came to be the place to go to record some of the greatest albums that's ever been made. Now, Scott is our music specialist of the group. What'd you think about this thing?
I saw this trailer and I was on board right away, if you couldn't have guessed. But Dave Grohl is one of my favorite musicians. He's very much a purist when it comes to recording music, and it's very evident in this trailer. He, in a day of auto-tune and all this stuff that can be done in the studio, he's very much one of those that wants to have a very raw recording. His last album, literally, the Foo Fighters' last album, was literally recorded with no electronic devices other than just the board. They did it straight in, no effects, no anything. It was done in his garage. Excuse me. They didn't even do a full-blown studio. And this looks really interesting to see a lot of the roots of some of these albums. Like you said, Nevermind was recorded there, which Dave Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana. So he's really got a first-hand look at that. It just looks really, really interesting to see where we were, where we've come, and trying to hang on to some of that history. So I'm definitely on board.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I love these kinds of documentaries. When I picked up Rock of Ages, they had several features about the Sunset Strip and just all of these band members from different bands back in the 70s and 80s talking about their experiences on in these clubs on the Sunset Strip and what it meant to their music and their fans. And it was really just entertaining to see all these guys just kind of wax nostalgic about something that I never really thought much about. And where albums are recorded is one of those things that who really thinks about that? It's just something you bought. You assume it was done somewhere professionally. But for the people who've recorded those albums in these spaces, it really means something. And you want to hear those stories so that the next time you listen to that album, it may not sound any different, but you'll know. And the feeling you'll have listening to it is going to be changed a bit. So I'm really looking forward to watching this. And it looks like it's going to have a bit of a sad ending because it looks like Sound City's kind of going the way of the dinosaur and being broken apart. And you hate to see a place so firm in the concrete of rock and roll. It's kind of being boxed up and broken apart. That's sad. That place should be like enshrined.
Yeah, why is that not like pieces of that in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something?
Or just keep it, as a museum.
Yeah,
rock and roll. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the artists even said, like, when they took out this soundboard that was such, I guess, the major advancement at the time that this guy had created. They said when they took it out, he says, I figured it would go straight to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And apparently it didn't. I'm not sure where it went, but
I'll bet you it's worth some money.
Unless Phil Collins recorded in the air tonight there, I'm not interested.
My favorite part.
Oh, man. Well, Sound City opens up February 1st, 2013. Now, our next movie may sound like a Japanese sex fetish, but it's not. It's likely, it's likely the biggest summer blockbuster next year, called Pacific Rim. Now it's.
Now I get it.
All right. Now, it took me a little while to get there, but you got it. Anyway, giant monsters emerge from this portal that's deep in the Pacific Ocean. But wait, humans have somehow shown some amazing foresight and created these equally ginormous robot suits to fight them. It's starring Charlie Hunnam, Idris Elba, Charlie Day, who I like from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They kind of had this pretty decent ensemble cast, and I'm pretty sure, Aaron, you're probably going to be there front and center first day.
I don't know about first day, but I will be there because it looks like Go-Go Bots versus Godzilla. I'm into that.
Go-Go Bots? What the fuck is that?
Go Bots. Go Bots. I'm sorry.
Go-Go Bots is where they got the little shoes and they dance.
Yeah. Big old white boots.
Oh. Well, there goes that joke. No. It's very interesting. I love Jax Teller. I mean, that's true. Charlie Hunnam is, for people that don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It was pretty funny when you watch the trailer and he does his narration, and it sounds like a Sons of Anarchy episode because he's constantly doing the narration for that. But it is very much just giant robots, Transformers, fighting Godzilla. That's what the whole movie is. Looks kick-ass.
Ew, it looks insane. And who knew that fucking GLaDOS was helping make a big robot?
I don't know how I feel about that, honestly.
It looks fun as fuck. I cannot wait to see this. Big robots, big monsters, duking it out. Shit, they might as well just call that Justin's wet dream.
I want them to put that
another Asian kind of fetish, but
I want them to put that on the poster. Looks fun as fuck. Justin McCumber.
Hollywood Outsiders.
Are you looking forward to this more than maybe some of the comic book movies?
Right now I can't even think of what all's coming out next year. I mean, I guess Captain America 2 might be coming out. Now, I know Iron Man's coming. I don't know if I would say that I'm more anticipating of this than Iron Man 3. I think, though, this one is going to hit my... This is going to sound filthy as shit, and I'm sorry. Hit my fun button a lot more than probably most films coming out next summer, because it looks like nothing but, a good time.
It really does.
I don't know. When you've got Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel and a couple... This is probably not as high up on my list, but it's up there.
I hear you. All right, well, it opens up July 12th next summer, so maybe the larger movies will already... Well, actually, probably most of the larger movies, the other comic book movies, will pretty much already hit by then, so shouldn't have a whole lot of competition, I would imagine. Now, from a movie with giant robots to the next movie from a director who makes movies about giant robots. Michael Bay's next buddy movie is Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson. And it's basically about a couple of bodybuilders who mastermind a kidnapping/extortion scheme. But as one can imagine, all goes terribly wrong. Now, Justin, if workouts and bodybuilding and terribly wrong has ever fit together, you're the first guy that I think of.
I don't know. I watched the trailer, and because it is Michael Bay, who I am unashamedly a fan of, I was really expecting something that I could sink my teeth into a little bit more. I'm not quite sure what's throwing me off. There's a little bit of a tonality issue where, of course, with Michael Bay, there's lots of action. There's always going to be a bit of comedy. But the mix of it in this trailer kind of threw me. I'm real... Mark Wahlberg, I'm not sold by him in damn near anything he does. I think the only role he's ever played that I really thoroughly thought he did a fantastic job with was Dirk Diggler. Other than that, he's always either been a negative or scraping by it, not really taking the movie up or down. So in this one, he just doesn't quite do it for me, especially when you put him up against somebody like Dwayne Johnson, who's twice as big as him. I don't care how many weights Wahlberg is going to lift. There is no way he's ever going to look like standing next to this guy, hey, those two dudes hang out. No, one dude just bench presses the other. I'll have to wait for some more trailers to come out. Sometimes the first trailers don't do it for me because even the studio doesn't quite know how to pitch it. And it is Bay, so I'm definitely going to see it. I'm just I don't quite know what to think of it yet.
I think Wahlberg with his shirt off is going to sell a lot of tickets this movie. That dude, holy cow. I know you said he's not nearly as big as The Rock, but he has definitely been packing on some muscle. He looks insanely ripped.
He does. Ladies will love it. I mean, it's like a Magic Mike movie. But Justin, you put it better than I've heard most people put it. Mark Wahlberg is very much just vacant stares. He's not... He is fine in a movie, but he has never made a movie, as far as I'm concerned. I've never seen anything where I'm like, damn, Mark Wahlberg kicked ass. Yeah. But he's fine.
I got the Rockstar. He was also pretty good in.
I was just going to say that.
Two movies.
The only time I love Mark Wahlberg is when he's in supporting parts, when he's not the focus of the movie.
Departed.
I mean, that's a prime example. I mean, he's great in small roles. Three Kings is another one where I thought he was great in that because the whole movie isn't about him. And
yeah, if he's sharing the lead with somebody, he doesn't even have to be so much a supporting actor. But if he's part of the hero, like if the hero is two or three different people or so, then he's great.
Of the Voltron hero,
he is. But when you pair him up next to Dwayne Johnson, I mean, you're right. He was doing fine, and then as soon as The Rock shows up, all the charisma was just stolen from him and slapped right back into The Rock where it belonged.
He's like mashed potatoes. You never order just mashed potatoes by themselves. It's always with something else.
Steak. And The Rock is the steak.
He's the big T-bone, Daddy.
He is.
Now, I don't want y'all encroaching on my man crush now. I better back the fuck up.
There's plenty of him to go around.
His character seems like he's a big teddy bear too. The Rock has really kind of come around as far as acting. Like he's not just playing the same meat-headed guy and everything.
Yeah.
It was the only good thing in that sequel to Get Shorty. That Be Cool.
Yeah, he was. He was
It was
really
really
good in
the
that.
only good thing in that.
He's got the. I don't know why he's not the lead, but we'll see when the movie comes out. The thing I didn't like about the trailer is I was hoping for like a sense of fun or excitement or try to get a feel for what kind of movie it's going to be, and it feels like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best thing I liked about it was The Rock and seeing Monk, Tony Shalhoub. I love Tony Shalhoub. He looked great. Outside of that, it was just kind of I'll wait and see how it plays out, I guess.
It's like identity crisis.
Yes, very much. Doesn't know what kind of movie he wants to be, which is very weird for a Michael Bay movie.
Mm-hmm. There's a lack of explosions in the trailer, too. There's like one small one. And
every time they pump iron, I was waiting for something to blow up. It's like part of their arm explodes.
I got a feeling there's going to be a certain amount of silliness going on with this movie. Just Rob Corddry and Ken Jeong from the Hangover movies, the Asian guy, naked guy. They're both in it, so I'm sure it's going to be a pretty silly movie. And anyway, it looks like it opens up April 26, 2013. So watch these awesome trailers and any more from some recent episodes at thehollywoodoutsider.com. Don't forget you can get your I'm a Ho t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsider.com. Reach us on Twitter at H_outsider. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider and email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com.
And t-shirts are on sale $15 this month only, so 3 for $40 if you want one.
It's never been cheaper to be a hoe, folks.
All right, now we're going to go to the big screen where we review any recent releases. But before we get to The Hobbit, we're going to talk a little bit about this little 9 minutes that pops up right before the Hobbit 9max that Justin and I saw. It's for Star Trek Into Darkness. It's actually the opening to the movie. Justin, I know you're squeeing inside. What did you think?
It was fantastic. I mean, fantastic. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to be able to give me the beginning of the film and yet not leave me feeling like I was just dropped off at the end of a cliff. Granted, it is kind of cliffhangery, but I actually felt like that 9 minutes had a bit of an end to it. I loved it. I have no idea who Cumberbatch is playing. I'm more convinced than ever that it is not Khan. So I think that really wipes him off that character off the table. But the adventure that the Enterprise and its crew start off on looks so fun and exciting. It involves the volcano you see in the trailer. It looks like in this movie you're going to get to see a lot of the Enterprise in water.
Yeah, that was interesting. The Enterprise is actually underwater in one scene, so that's pretty neat. And I like what they're doing because what they did with the original reboot of Star Trek was they made it more accessible to people that don't like Star Trek. Mm-hmm. That's probably what the best advantage that they had going for it. And from this first 9 minutes, it seems like they're continuing that. It's still Star Trek. I mean, the characters are the same and the concepts are the same, but they still have that adventure feel to it that makes it more accessible to people. I love what they're doing with it. And the first 9 minutes, the opening to show Kirk and Spock and all the guys coming back, everything is there and it looks great. It looks great. It's a great start to the movie. I know Brian doesn't want to see it because he doesn't want to be spoiled on what happens in the first 9 minutes. So if that concerns you, don't go. But you won't really get any big spoilers. You don't know who Benedict Cumberbatch is. You don't know what's going on. I mean, it's just to get you amped up.
Now, here's my question to you guys about how do you like this concept of seeing the first 9 minutes of a movie?
Fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I'm more sold on it now than I was last week.
Here's what I will say to it. I think if it's a movie that came out 2 years ago, it's fucking stupid, what Brian said. If it's 4 or 5 years, like Star Trek's been a while, and I think it's out of a lot of people's minds, it's a genius way to bring it back to the consciousness of people that have forgotten about it. Because there's so many sequels coming in the year after the first one comes out now. I get why studios are wanting to do it, to remind you, hey, this is coming out. Let's get pumped up. I get that. That kind of thing, I think it's great. But if it's a movie that came out a couple years ago, I don't want to see 9 minutes of anything that just came out like Amazing Spider-Man. I don't want to see 9 minutes of that if it's coming out next year. Just wait.
Yeah, but like Justin said, he wasn't sold on it until he saw this one. I have a hard time believing that.
That's not true. When did he say that? He was sold on Star Trek before they even started
No.
filming it.
I'm sold on the
On the
concept.
edge.
the concept.
I'm showing the opening several minutes to a movie.
I don't.
But see, this is a property that is so large. Nobody has forgotten Star Trek. Nobody.
I don't think
care
they're
if you've
showing
only-
it
I don't-
because people have forgotten it.
You know, well, that was Aaron's point. Was
I think they
it
are.
reminds you that it's out there and that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've said before. You know, just do what they always do. You put in a teaser. A few months later, you have a trailer. A few months later, you have another trailer, and then the last month before the movie comes out, you blast every damn TV, radio, internet thing that you can get your hands on, and you put some sort of promotion on there. It just
But one of the smart things that they did with this is that you couldn't find two movies that are more tonally and thematically, not to mention genre-wise, apart than The Hobbit and Star Trek. Granted, they're both two very nerdy franchises, but people who watch The Hobbit are not necessarily going to be sci-fi fans. If you can show them a segment, a sustained couple of scenes from your movie, there's a good chance you may be able to convert those people who never watched a Star Trek film and didn't think it would be up their alley. Suddenly they're watching
you're telling
9
me
minutes.
that there are some Middle Earth geeks
Sure,
out there
absolutely. When I was in my screening,
that will not watch or
Yes,
have not watched
absolutely.
a Star Trek movie.
absolutely. I know quite a few guys who are fantasy geeks that don't like science fiction, but they don't like it because they've never really experienced it outside of a couple of things that just didn't trip their trigger, and then they completely took it off of their radar. I know some sci-fi guys who are just the same way with fantasy shit. They don't want to watch it if it doesn't have lasers and starships in it. They're not interested. Those people do exist, and I know it. When I was in this screening today, there were people who were sitting around me that were like, wow, I didn't know if I'd want to see that. That looks pretty cool. They were sold. And if they go to see a movie, then showing them that 9 minutes was entirely worth it. I think it could be a trend to help pick up audiences from other genres that may not have given your movie a try, but now they are because they've seen 9 minutes, several scenes, not just a trailer, cut, and it convinced them. Some people, it may confirm why they don't watch these movies. That's not a lost sale, but getting a sale, well, that's a bonus.
It's also, from what I read, their way of trying to get people into the IMAX version.
Could be.
And also the tryout IMAX theaters. If they were hesitant before, come see it in IMAX. You'll get treated with a special 9 minutes only in IMAX. So they're also trying to juice up their format. Now let's move on to the actual Hobbit. You know, a whole movie. Well, Justin, myself, and Brian all saw The Hobbit. Scott is holding off because he's going on a family adventure with about 47 people, apparently. So here's what the story is about if you haven't read the book, which a lot of people haven't read the book. And you can listen to our Hobbit spoiler cast, where we'll go way more into detail. So we'll try to keep this review, somewhat civilized. Guys, let's not go for 45 minutes. As you remember from Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins was the previous owner of that damn one ring to rule them all. This is the prequel to that story, and it's all Bilbo's story. So Frodo does pop up, but it's not Frodo's story. It's Bilbo Baggins' story. It takes place 60 years before the Rings trilogy. Bilbo is recruited to join a small posse of dwarves led by Lord Thorin to reclaim... You don't like the word posse?
I like it, but I never really would have thought of that in reference to dwarves.
All they were missing were gold chains, man. That's it. To reclaim their long ago vanquished kingdom and gold from the monstrous dragon Smaug. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Thank you. Every time I get it right, I feel better about myself. They run into trolls, goblins, and a shadowy precursor of things to come. The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey is the first of 3 films to tell this 350-page story, which begs the question, was there enough story to justify 3 hours for only the first part of this one, Brian?
I think it was a bit long. They probably could have trimmed it down about 20 minutes. Easily 20 minutes. Probably gotten away with a little bit more. But again, this really does set, if it falls in fashion with the other trilogy, I believe, it should set things up for some pretty good stories down the road and pretty good action and everything. So I'm looking at it as it just a bit like about almost a 3-hour setup, and just kind of rolling with it like that. But yeah, it probably could have been done about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes shorter.
What about you, Justin?
Oh, definitely. I went and saw it again today, so this is my second viewing since it came out, and it just confirmed that there were a lot of places where I think they could have trimmed some things down, especially in the first half of the film. So at a running time of, 2 hours and 40 minutes, give or take, they could easily trim, I think, or at least I say easily trim 30 minutes, I think, from this movie, and it would have been a nice, tightly paced film as opposed to one that has a couple of sags in it. But that said, I like the story they present. I like all the added material that they drew in from other sources, and I like some of the changes that they made to the story. But yeah, all in all, the second viewing I enjoyed even more than the first.
Now, Justin, you love everything Tolkien and Elvish, and you often carry a personally engraved straw to suck at the proverbial taint of Lord of the Rings. What did you think of the acting in this new trilogy, and was it on par with the previous trilogy?
Unfortunately, because there's 13 dwarves, the group that we're following is a larger group than we had before, and because of that, some of those dwarves, in fact, most of them, just kind of blend into the background, and so you don't get a lot of varied performances like we got in the first ones. Really, this is mostly Bilbo, Gandalf, Oakenshield, and those three guys pretty much carry this movie all the way through, and their performances are very strong. Martin Freeman is a fantastic Bilbo Baggins. Watching it again, it confirmed for me that I thought he did a great job all the way through. I did buy him wanting to join this group and head off, even though at first he was really stubbornly against it. Gandalf is just, Ian
McKellen?
Thank you. Jesus, why am I having such a problem with names? Did a great job. I mean, he slipped right into that role like it was a pair of old shoes. But yeah, all in all, I thought the performances were really good. There wasn't anybody that I kind of, wrinkle my nose up at thinking that they did a poor job. Everybody involved, amazing work.
I thought Bilbo was a little too mugging for the camera the first hour.
No, I loved it. I loved that persnicketyness that he brought up. That whole good day and, that exchange he had with Gandalf, and just, it kind of showed this uptight guy. I kind of liked it. I really, really liked it.
I think he was over the top. The first hour, he was way over the top. But after that, I think he settled into the role. Gandalf livens the movie up every second he's on screen. He really does. I mean, just like with the original trilogy, when Gandalf shows up, you're like, yes. I don't know why. You just are. And I will never be able to say this enough, how much Andy Serkis's Gollum makes or breaks these movies. For me, just when he shows up, anytime it seems like in the series itself, the original series as well, whenever the movie hits a lull and starts to maybe start slowing down a little bit, like, oh God, we got to pick this up. If Gollum just shows up and it's magic, bam, the movie's back on top. And he does that in this one too.
And and the magic with him is the CGI is overlaid over his physical, presence, but it's also all those little facial features that you see are his features. Mm-hmm. That his face, he's really acting with his facial expressions, his eyes, his tone of voice, and that's even while I guess the computers read that and translate that into the Gollum character. And so it's not just them saying, okay, I think we should probably raise his eyebrows a little bit more here. It's just him acting. And I just think he's absolutely phenomenal. And he really kind of takes the show and steals it for about that 30 minutes or hour that he is in the movie.
Okay, I personally thought the Defiler and especially the Great Goblin were way too CGI'd for me personally, but the rest of the production was top notch. What did you think, Brian?
I'm of the mindset that the Defiler is way. I really thought he should have been a physical character and not a CGI character. It just I like I use the example in the Spoilercast of the leader of the orcs, the Urukai, that main character with the one with the handprint and stuff. He was a physical person that was dressed up, and I just kind of felt, for the most part, most of these characters are like that, and I don't even remember if any in the original trilogy were full on CGI characters other than Gollum.
It's funny now that I've seen it. The first time I watched the movie, I saw it in that high frame rate, and in the spoiler cast, I talked at length about how much I hated that high frame rate and how it made everything look too real, to the point that those things that were props and set pieces looked that much more unreal. A lot of the CGI looked a little too plasticky as well, though it really didn't bother me. Today, watching it in the regular frame rate 3D in the IMAX, everything looked seamless. It looked perfect. The guy playing Agog the Defiler, honestly, and this may just be me blowing smoke up my own ass, I honestly could not have known whether or not he was a CGI creation or somebody that they just put really good makeup on. I can't tell the difference. Or if there is a difference, my mind really doesn't care. I thought he looked fine. Now, of course, the Goblin King down in the Goblin City, of course, that's all CG, and the trolls are all CG. Their appearances don't bother me any more than the other characters, the live action characters. Now, to me, they've gotten so good at texturing, lighting, animation, everything else. It's unless their bodies are so disproportionate, like that Goblin King, from a human's body, I have a hard time telling whether or not it's a real person or somebody that's created by a computer. I think it all looked amazing now that it was in the proper frame rate. Everything had a nice texture to it. Loved it. Looked so much better. Fuck high frame rate.
What did you think, real quick? I know if you want to hear it ad nauseum about what he really thought about the high frame rate, listen to the spoiler cast. But what did you think, just quickly? Do you recommend it for people, or do you say avoid?
No. I mean, if you're going to see it a couple of times and you know you're going to see it a couple of times, go the first time, see it the way you want to see it in the low frame rate, the way it's supposed to be, and then go back and just give it a try. You may like it. There are, strangely enough, some people out there who do like the high frame rate. I'm not one of those people. I wish I'd seen the traditional version first instead of the way I went about it. Knowing now, I wouldn't. But yeah, go see it. You may like it. I just hated it. But there's a lot of things that I don't like that other people do. I'm in that 5%.
Okay, so overall, what's your verdict? Justin?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is the first chapter out of 3, so there's a lot to go. The performances were great. The special effects were great. I love the writing. I love the music. Other than a few slow parts, there's really nothing about this film that I didn't like. Giving it 1 out of 10, I'd give it a solid 8.5. And that's just to leave room for the others to go even higher.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I've kind of nitpicked on a few negative things there, but overall, it's a very entertaining movie. It feels like the other movies. It feels like you're just expanding the universe, so to speak. Like I said, I've nitpicked on a few things, and while I might have been more vocal about those than the stuff that I really like, again, I love this. This was a really fun movie. It's a little slow at the beginning, but overall, I'd give it an 8.5 also.
I like the film very much. I think it's one of those movies where it started off a little slow, could have easily been 30 minutes shorter, so therefore it's just shy of greatness. I mean, I think it could have been a great movie if Peter Jackson would just let himself cut something. He doesn't seem to like to edit. He just like, let it rip, it'll work. But I was worried that if the story could even justify a trilogy, and he didn't let me down there. I think there is plenty of story for 3 movies. I think he could have tightened it up a little bit. But some of the CGI characters are really spotty for me and took me out of the film a bit. The Great Goblin really doesn't work at all for me. And the trolls I thought were just not well done at all. But overall, you kind of lose yourself in it. And I was glad to be back in Middle-earth. And I give the film 8.5 as well.
Oh, wow. I got a question just because I'm going to go see it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Justin gave his opinion on 48 frames. Mm-hmm. I know that he's not a big fan of it, but how do you guys feel? Regular, 3D, IMAX?
I think it's one of the few movies I would recommend seeing in IMAX 3D.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was worth it.
But not the
I would say
frames.
that, I guess, if you're going to an IMAX, I would probably just go the extra little mile and probably do it in 3D also. I personally did not gain a whole lot from the 3D experience on a regular screen, but that was just me. But otherwise, I mean, it was pretty entertaining.
And it's worth IMAX. I mean, it's built for that kind of screen. Okay, let's go to our speed round where we have some quick reviews of some movies that these guys have seen. Justin, first up, The Pact.
The Pact is a horror film. It came out earlier this year in June. It's a small little film. It's about a woman whose mother passed away. Her sister is at the house watching over it, waiting for her to arrive so that they can take care of her mom's funeral and get sorting all through her possessions. And some really bad shit starts going down. It's an okay film. I liked it much better than I liked the other horror film that I watched that night. It has a nice little indie vibe to it. The lead actress, Katie Lotz, is very good in her role. She's a pretty woman, but the film never tries to live on that. It's more about her eyes, her experiences in that house. A couple twists and turns. Casper Van Dien is in it. I hardly recognized him until the movie was over and it said that was who it was. I was like, oh shit. Then looking back, oh, of course it was. But he looks like he's trying to become Don Johnson with the scruff and shit. 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it a good 7. It was entertaining and Katie Lotz was quite good in it. Had some scares, but nothing truly terrifying.
Scotty, you saw Savages?
I did. You reviewed this one a while back. The movie started out really, really slow. Really took me a while to figure out what you liked about it so much, but man, did it grab its hooks into me about halfway through. Very violent, some messed up, dark stuff happens in that movie, and I mean that in like a good way. Like it goes to some places I didn't expect.
For those that don't know what it's about, it's just 2 drug dealers that basically their girlfriend gets kidnapped, and the rival drug dealer says, "Come, start doing business our way, or we'll kill her." And they have to find a way to get her back. That's it.
Right. And the ending of this movie, I think you spoke about this on the show when we did it, was the cheapest, laziest ending I've seen in a movie in a long time, and it really dropped the score for me quite a bit. I wanted to like this movie a lot more. It still got a 7.5 out of it from me, but they could have just wrapped it up a lot neater, and I would have liked it a lot more.
It's one of the worst endings I've seen in years, honestly. Justin, last one, Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, not Picture Perfect.
Yeah, not the Jennifer Aniston movie from the 90s, yeah.
Right. This came out on September 28th. Scotty did a review on it. He liked it quite a bit. I like it as well. Pitch Perfect, it's a film about a college a cappella groups. There's several in this one college, all of them competing in these regional and national competitions. It's set in a college. You never see the inside of a classroom, though. Almost everything is about the club, their getting together, their conflicts with each other. It's very funny. My only issue with it is that it sags a bit in a few moments. It's almost 2 hours long. I think it easily could have been an hour and a half to just really tighten things up, get rid of the slow moments. The singing is really well done. I enjoyed all of the a cappella moments. Some of them actually give you some chills, but Anna Kendrick leads this movie, and I think she does so beautifully. She's very attractive, an incredible singer, and she owned that role. I enjoyed it quite a bit. 1 out of 10. I give it a good 7.5, maybe an 8. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Nice. Let's go to box office real quick. We don't have much to talk about because really only one movie open, and that was The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. $84.6 million, biggest December opening weekend ever. It also made $138 million overseas, so it's got well over $220 million. It's on its way to about $900 million worldwide when it's all said and done. We'll see how it goes, but what I understand, they're going to make their money back. So, congratulations, Peter Jackson. You're rich.
Does New Zealand just give him like a money printing press and say, "Just here you go, man"?
Well, you remember that the unions were on his ass. I mean, Pete has been on his ass. I feel bad for him. All the business he's brought to New Zealand, and he keeps getting shit for going back over there.
It's a beautiful country, though. Those movies are the best New Zealand tourist kind of advertising you could ever want.
Yeah,
true story.
They just give him a link to download the movie. Here you go. There's New Zealand.
All right, well, we have got 3 movies that we're going to be talking about this week. Only 2 of them really count. They're opening on December 25th, but we're going to go ahead and discuss all three of them. Let's get the shit out of the way. Parental Guidance. If you're like me, you've never heard of this movie either, but here you go. This is a comedy starring Billy Crystal, Bette Midler, Marissa Tomei, and Tom Everett Scott. When their daughter goes away for work, Artie, played by Crystal, and Diane, played by Midler, find themselves having to take care of their 3 grandchildren using 21st century methods, though they soon resort to an old-fashioned style of parenting. This film has no hope whatsoever of making money, considering the next 2 movies that we're going to be talking about. But we're going to go ahead and take pity on and act like it counts. So, Aaron, what chance do you think this movie has, and do you really even care?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yes.
I don't want to see it and no desire to see it. I think it'll be a hit. Because it's one of those movies that it gets counter-programmed. Django Unchained, Les Mis, those 2 movies that we're going to talk about in a little bit, those are the ones we're dying to see. But you've got Mom and Pop and Grandma and Grandpa and all these families for Christmas. This is why this movie's coming out, for those people. And these movies, like The Father of the Bride, and what is it, the ones with the 64 kids that Steve Martin was in a few years ago?
I don't know, because I don't watch
By
that
the dozen.
Yeah, by the dozen.
Cheaper
Cheaper by the dozen. Those shitty movies seem to make a fortune because a lot of families want to go, and that's what they can go to see. And trust me, Django Unchained ain't a family flick. Les Mis.
Depends on your family.
This is true. Les Mis doesn't sound like the happiest thing to go see with your family. This is what this movie is built for. I don't want to see it. I think it looks awful. It'll probably make $100 million.
Well, it costs $10 to make it, so I guess 2 tickets, money made back.
Yeah, I can't imagine Billy Crystal and Bette Midler are taking top dollar these days.
I think $100 million a bit I don't know, a bit aggressive, but I think it's but it probably in that $60 to $70 million range. You're probably right. It's one of those that the family, when they're tired of, they've had their afternoon nap, they've already, presents have been open, there's nothing to do. This is one of those movies where groups of 4 to 6 people will go to versus Django Unchained, where maybe 2 or 3 people will go to at a time.
It's safe. It's a safe movie.
Now, wait a minute. You open your presents and there's nothing to do, then you got crappy presents.
That's right.
Everybody doesn't get Xboxes, Scott.
count this as gold because unfortunately I've been watching box office for years and I'm a nerd about it. Either this or The Guilt Trip will be a big hit. One of those 2 will be a big hit.
I see Guilt Trip being a big hit. I don't see.
I don't know which one it is, but it's going to be one of those 2.
Man. Guilt Trip looks like shit. This one at least has got Billy Crystal's charm.
It'll be one of the 2. I don't know which one it will be.
They released it 15 years ago, maybe.
What, Billy Crystal?
Yeah.
I love Billy Crystal, man.
I do too, but what's the last movie he's been in?
That was good?
What's the last movie he was in?
I don't know, because I don't
know.
Analyze that?
The Oscars, does that count?
No.
I'd much rather watch Bette Midler than Streisand.
I don't want to see either one. I will go see The Guilt. I do kind of want to see The Guilt Trip.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and move on then from this character? Let's get to the real reason we're talking about upcoming movies this week. Django Unchained, the D is silent. Now, this is a Western written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Film stars Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kerry Washington, and Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. Django's a slave living in the Deep South after having been separated from his wife, Broomhilda, played by Kerry Washington. When Django's held for slave auction, Dr. King Schultz, Christoph Waltz's character, frees Django from his vicious masters and gives him the option of helping him hunt down and kill the Brittle Brothers, a ruthless gang of killers whom only Django has seen. In return, Schultz will free Django from slavery completely and help him find and rescue Broomhilda from the brutal but charming Calvin Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Scotty, I think our next film is probably going to hold more interest for you than this one, but I'm curious to hear from you. On Christmas Day when you head to the movies, is this going to be the one you purchase a ticket for?
It's not on Christmas Day, but I'm definitely going to be seeing this movie. I talked about this a few weeks ago that I wasn't as high on this movie, but after looking at this a little bit more closely the last couple of weeks, I am on fire to see this. Just Leonardo DiCaprio looks stellar as that role, with the gross teeth and just the asshole racist guy. He looks so good. It's supposed to be a lot more violent than I anticipated, even though I knew it was Tarantino. I can't wait, but it's not gonna be Christmas Day for me. Aaron,
you need to lean over and put him out because he's on fire to see this.
I need to I need to express this is my number one most anticipated movie of the year. Mm-hmm. Of the year, not Avengers, not Cabin in the Woods, not The Hobbit. This is the one I want to see the most because Tarantino is my favorite filmmaker working today. And I've heard nothing but great. The reviews are like I think there's 41 reviews and it's already 98% positive. There's a lot of good word on the movie. None of it's really bad that I've heard. The only bad review I saw was kind of just they didn't care for the context of the movie because apparently it's a little dark. It's Tarantino. It's probably going to be pretty dark. Mm-hmm. I just can't wait. I can't wait to see. I'm not a big Jamie Foxx fan, but Tarantino's behind it, so I'll give him a chance.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I just pretty much got to echo the rest of that. I love Tarantino. I love just about everybody in this whole cast. It looks fun, but in that sick, twisted, dark, demented Tarantino fashion. So count me in.
I'm surprised you're not big on Jamie Foxx, though, Aaron. I mean, I thought he was fantastic in Ray. I loved him in Collateral. The guy's a pretty stellar actor. I even liked him in Miami Vice.
I won't give you that one because
I liked Miami Vice.
I did not
I don't know why people hated that movie.
I like Jamie Foxx when he's kind of like Mark Wahlberg. I really like him in supporting roles. I'll give Ray the exception. But
he is so much better than Mark Wahlberg as an actor.
Let me finish. I see him the same way as I see Mark Wahlberg. That when I've seen him in leading roles, generally he doesn't impress me unless he's got someone else there backing him up. Ray was an exception, and I also say he was playing somebody totally opposite with him. Any Given Sunday, he was fantastic in that very small role. Collateral, he's the supporting guy. He was great in that. Those kind of movies, I think he excels. When he's the lead, he just doesn't have the charisma to carry me a lot of the time. So, I get hesitant about it. I don't dislike him. I don't dislike him. I'm just hesitant about him because I never know until I actually see the movie if it's going to work or not.
All right. Our last film, Les Miserables, is a British musical based on the musical of the same name, which is in turn based on a novel of the same name, written in 1862 by French novelist Victor Hugo. The film is directed by Tom Hooper, scripted by William Nicholson, and stars an ensemble cast led by Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe. Anne Hathaway, Amanda Seyfried, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Helena Bonham Carter also star in supporting roles. The film tells the story of Jean Valjean, played by Hugh Jackman, a Frenchman in prison for stealing bread. After having broken his parole, he must flee from police inspector Javier, played by Russell Crowe. The pursuit consumes both men's lives, and after 2 decades on the run, Valjean finds himself in the midst of the 1832 June Rebellion in Paris. Brian, I think we've already established that if a movie has singing and or dancing in it, you will be all over it like a duck on a June bug. Do you already have your tickets pre-purchased?
I believe, as they would say in France, fuck no.
Lay fuck no.
Lay fuck no.
No, I do not like musicals in general. That being said, if there's a musical that I would take a chance on, it would be this one. Mm-hmm. I know this is a very sacred play, musical, whatever book that I know this is very sacred ground, so I won't hammer it, but it's just I've never been attached to this piece. It's just it's never grabbed me. The few little movies or little bits of plays that I've seen, it's not really kept my attention. But there's a hell of a cast in this. The art direction looks fantastic. I may take a chance on it if I got some extra time, but there's some other good movies that are out, so I can't make any promises.
Feel good movie of the year. I'm calling it.
Yeah, right.
The Miserables? Yeah.
Scott, come on. You've been dying to talk about it. Do it.
I've said plenty on this one. Y'all know I'm going to see it on Christmas Day. It's.
Are you even going to wait till an afternoon showing? Or are you going to be there right when they open?
No, we've actually got the whole day planned out. So it's not going to be afternoon.
Santa.
What's that?
Fuck Santa.
I couldn't be more excited. I don't want to be disappointed. So I'm trying to squelch my excitement for it a little bit because.
Are you going to wear a dress?
No.
It just seems fitting. What about? I gotta ask because I don't get it. Because this is not joyful in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
What about this is so exciting?
Why does something have to be joyful for you to want to be excited about it?
You're going to go see
The
Django
level-
Unchained.
Yeah, the level of joy he has for this, and it's a really horrible story. I know the story. I read the book a long time ago.
One of the reasons that I like musicals so much is because, in my opinion, music helps to convey emotion so much more than just spoken word. Especially when you see the stage presentation, which I did at least twice, if not 3 times, you're seeing the pain and this kind of stuff in the songs that come through. I can't explain it. I'm not going to be one of those guys that just says you don't get it, but it's one of those things that I feel it when I'm watching that, and the music at the same time. It really just kind of stirs you up and makes you feel really good.
Oh, it's a very good explanation. Sincerely.
Even though it is sad, it still makes you feel good. I don't know how to. It's awesome.
No, that's all I was asking. Mm-hmm. Good answer.
For once.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, there you go. Of these 3 movies, guys, Parental Guidance, Django Unchained, Les Miserables, which ones are we going to be seeing? Brian, I'll go with you first.
I'm going to go with Django Unchained.
And Aaron, I know what you're going to say, but I'll let you say it for yourself.
Django Unchained.
And
Django
Scotty.
Unchained. Actually, I want to see it twice. So does that count? I'll see it twice the same day.
No. Scotty?
Les Mis, but definitely still going to see the other as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to go Django Unchained as well. I do really want to see Les Mis. I never thought I would say that. I'm not the biggest musical fan myself. I have enjoyed some, but I don't consider myself a fan. But when I saw the first trailer with Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe and Anne Hathaway singing, I was really just kind of blown away and thought, all right, I have to see this. So I will see it. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I will see it. But Django Unchained is definitely going to be one I see in theaters. So 3 against 1, Scotty, once again, loser.
Okay, you can hear us every week. Subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Listener, and your Stitcher Radio app, or give us a thumbs up if you do, or any RSS feed. Our website is thehollywoodoutsiders.com, and we're also on rockfordcollegeradio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or a listener-suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com or send us a direct message on Twitter at @H_outsider, and we will announce those that got it correct on the air and give you a proper whole shout-out. Last week's answer was Justin McCumber's Gremlins. Gremlins. That was a really hard one, actually.
Justin McCumber's Gremlins? Did he write that too?
Yes, he wrote it and directed it. And actually 4 people got it right. Gringo Sag, Sue S., Michael H., and Tammy all got it correct. And the winner of the Ho t-shirt, because we actually did a t-shirt for that one last week, was Gringo. So congratulations. We will get in touch with you and find out where you live.
I think you just like to say Gringo.
No. It's Gringo.
Gringo Sag.
Why did you make it sound Scottish?
I don't know.
Gringo Sag.
Because you won't let me do my Connery impression, so I got to squeeze it in when I can. This week it's Scott's turn, so if you think you know what this clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com or a direct message on Twitter, and here's your clip.
Well, young man, you have been apprenticed to a fine company in London. Today, you become a man of business.
I'm looking forward to it, Headmaster.
You will love business. It is the American way.
Sam.
Oh, it is the British way.
Good.
Okay, there's your clip. Now let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
All right, we got a short list this week. First off, we have one release on Christmas Eve, and it wouldn't be Aaron's podcast if we didn't talk about Dennis Quaid in some capacity. So, The Words is being released, which not only stars Dennis Quaid, but also Bradley Cooper, Zoe Saldana, did I pronounce that correctly? Mm-hmm. And Olivia Wilde. The story is a writer at the peak of his literary success discovers the steep price he must pay for stealing another man's work. Another couple of releases on December 31st, New Year's Eve, is Looper. We talked about this one on episode 62, where I gave it an 8 out of 10, as well as Aaron gave it a 9 out of 10. The story here, in 2074, when the mob wants to get rid of someone, the target is sent 30 years into the past, where a hired gun awaits. Someone like Joe, who one day learns the mob wants to close a loop by transporting Jack, Joe's future self. Also released is Justified Season 3, which means I have to get caught up on Season 2 rather quickly.
Which means you got to borrow mine.
No, it's on Netflix, so I'm good.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know Justified was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's why I gave it back to you.
That's a fantastic show if you haven't seen it. I will be buying that Blu-ray as soon as it gets discounted because I ain't paying what they're asking for right now.
And that must mean season 4 is going to be on TV 2 weeks after that, probably,
Yes,
right?
roughly. Yep. Okay, from the outside in. Each week we have a topic that's on ours, our listeners' minds. As next week, we will have a mostly best of show, so we can all enjoy the holidays. So you will have a new episode next week, but it's going to be kind of a clip assortment. So
You're giving us time off, boss?
yeah, everybody, we get time off. Although, if anybody wants to review a movie, feel free to come in. This week we decided to do an everybody episode, meaning each of us got to pick our from the outside in topic that we really wanted to talk about. So here we go. Each of us are going to do our own specific topic. Scott, you go first.
My topic was another easy choice for me, just because I'm a big fan of music, was a favorite movie soundtrack. Now, we've talked a lot about scores in the past, and I'm not talking about score soundtracks, but actual soundtracks of, pop music or otherwise, various artists all compiled onto one disc. Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of get an idea from you guys what your thoughts were. And I want to start with Justin, because he's a fellow music lover like me. Justin, what's your favorite soundtrack to a movie?
Well, I'm probably going to be stealing this one from you. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably.
I have a feeling I am. But for me, the best soundtrack ever released for a movie ever is Singles. It's got Smashing Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Paul Westerberg, Chris Cornell. I mean, it is Mother Love Bone. It is the Seattle sound all on one disc, and it's phenomenal. I listen to songs on that from it constantly. So Singles is probably the top of my list.
That's really interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Seattle-based music as much as you are, so that wasn't you weren't stealing my pick, but
okay.
Brian,
I love that one.
Cool. I'll have to check that one out, actually. Brian, what about you?
Oh man, I'm going to catch so much hell for this.
Top Gun.
I don't even want to say it, but I cannot even think of another soundtrack that I
Step
love
Up
that
one?
even. Flash Gordon.
What?
Love Queen fucking rocks.
I thought you were
I'll give
going
you that.
Purple Rain for a second. I didn't know you were going that bad.
I really thought he was going Purple Rain, too. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
Where the hell do you get Purple Rain from Flash?
No, because he was like, you guys are going to make fun of me. It's really embarrassing.
No, Purple Rain is good. Fuck you.
Why Flash Gordon?
it's a horrible movie, and the soundtrack really is not very good. There's really only one. There's only one real song on there, but there's a couple of musical scores, and basically it's like 12, 15 little clips of the movie is what it really is. But I loved that movie as a kid, and I've had that soundtrack on. Gosh, I know cassette, possibly 8-track, but I had it on cassette, CD, and even downloaded it off iTunes. So any format that has been out there for that soundtrack, I have owned it.
Wow.
And I just loved it. Like I said, I've loved that movie as a kid. There are certain scenes that always just kind of amped me up as a kid. And it is such a cheesy movie. It doesn't work nowadays. So if you've never seen it and now you try to watch it, it's going to be excruciatingly bad. But it's just, it's one of those little things that you know is bad, but you've had some sort of attachment to it as a kid, and you just carry it with you. One of them is, as far as soundtracks goes, that is my blanket.
What's on it? Is it all Queen?
It's all Queen.
Oh, that's pretty solid.
And
I
there's
feel
a
like it'd
couple
be
of versions.
almost mean to make fun of it at this point, like beating on a retarded kid. You know, it's just.
Oh no, I mean, beat away. It's fine. It's just, I'm fully prepared to take a beating. I'm
Screw you, Aaron. Queen is good.
It's
You don't
just,
like Queen?
It's just the Flash Gordon thing.
Oh, okay.
It's just this is a collection of hits for Flash Gordon. It's just weird.
Well, it's all about the music for it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Brian,
Yeah.
do you like the Highlander soundtrack as well? Because that's got a lot of Queen.
Yeah, I mean, Queen to me is the absolute pinnacle for movie soundtracks in the 80s. You got Flash Gordon, Highlander, Iron Eagle. It's kind of a tie between them and Kenny Loggins, because Kenny Loggins had a pretty good run also.
And Harold Faltermeyer.
He had one or two, but Kenny Loggins and Queen both. I mean, they had probably half a dozen. Faltermeyer had 2 or 3, maybe.
Okay.
You will get no shit from me, sir.
Yeah, me either. I love Queen.
Oh, boy.
What about you, Aaron?
My all-time favorite soundtrack is The Crow.
Oh, so good. I've got that as one of my mentions.
That is definitely one of those soundtracks you can listen to, and every song just creates a completely different mood. Now, granted, it's not the happiest soundtrack, but it's
No.
it's not from the happiest kind of a movie either. But especially the first, I remember when I had it was on cassette tape, but now it's on CD. I've got it on CD as well, but I would constantly listen to that in the car. And the first 4 or 5 songs are probably some of my favorite songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Not just from the soundtrack, but just of all time. The Burn by The Cure is one of the best all-time, is probably my all-time favorite song from a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it creates and tells the entire story, the mood, the context, everything in that song. Just perfect.
Big Empty is so good.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I
There's
actually
so
love
many
the
good
songs.
Pilots.
So, well, mine is probably going to be an easy pick, and I'm actually surprised when Justin said that he was stealing mine. I thought this is the one that he was going to say for sure. But a movie we've talked about a lot is the movie Rockstar, and the music from that soundtrack is one of the coolest soundtracks I've had.
Oh, motherfucker. If I'd thought of that one, I would have stolen it too.
Yeah. What's
God
cool?
damn it.
What's cool about it is that there's original music as far as this made-up band that's in the movie. So you've got a lot of music you've never heard before up until this movie came out. Stand Up and Shout.
Dragon.
Yeah, Steel Dragon. You've got Stand Up and Shout. The intro to We All Die Young is one of the most goosebump-inducing songs I've ever heard in my entire life. It's so good.
Blood Pollution.
Oh, so good. That's the one he's singing in the car, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's so good. But then you round it out with real solid ones like Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, which is one of the sexiest songs I've ever heard.
The only song of his I like, but it is good.
And Lick It Up by Kiss. And then it rounds out with Colorful by the Verve Pipe.
The Verve Pipe, yes.
Which the Verve Pipe is known for pretty much the Freshman, and that's it. And that song rounds out that soundtrack beautifully. It's got great highs and then just a perfect ending. I love that soundtrack a very great deal.
All right. All good choices.
Did we get any honorables?
No.
Oh,
Fuck it. Into the Wild.
Okay.
That's almost all Eddie Vedder, but it is so goddamn good.
Okay, now this one, it's my turn. Django Unchained and Jack Reacher both canceled their Hollywood premieres out of respect for the families in Connecticut, which I guess is okay, but my question is 2 parts. One, as not a single family member that I'm aware of could give a shit about them having a premiere, is this sincere respect or totally for positive publicity because it's the only way they could get on the news channels? And B, with all respect to the families, are we getting sick of the media making every single tragedy into a violent movie's damn the soul debate? Scotty.
I think it's a little mixture of both. I think they do care, and I think it's kind of heartless to say that their only reason for doing this is to get publicity and to get advertisement for these
I see
movies.
no other reason to cancel it. I really don't think that the people in Connecticut care about them having their premiere.
They don't, but they want to be looked on favorably with
That's my
kind
point.
of a red target on them. I think part of what you were saying and that kind of made it sound like they were doing it just for not to be looked at positively, but also to boost some sales.
I think they're trying to sway away and say, look how much we'll do for them. See, we're
Mm-hmm.
good people, and even though our movie's negative and there's gunshots and whatnot, we're good. We care, and it really the two shouldn't coexist. They have nothing to do with each other.
I agree. I'm just sick of people looking for something to blame with all this stuff. Justin actually said something that I agreed with a great deal. He actually posted on my Facebook wall about it. We have all these violent movies and violent video games and violent media all together in Canada, in Europe, in Australia, all these other countries. But we're one of the few countries that has multiple mass murderers this close together. I have a hard time buying that this is the problem.
It's not.
It's not. You're right. I think we don't take a look inward.
Mm-hmm.
We're the problem, not the movies and everything else. We're not taking a good enough look at the things that are causing these issues, not necessarily the media and everything else as the cause, but home issues, mental health issues. We're shifting money away from those programs and dumping them into stupid. Mental health is a legitimate condition and should be looked at. Not, how many times did you see fucking Pulp Fiction? I don't think anybody shot anybody in the back of a car just because they saw Pulp Fiction. I don't see it. And I'm really confused why every time something like this happens, it has to be a movies or video games damn the soul debate. I mean, it's always the same debate. Always the same debate.
Yeah,
they just come out just waiting for it to happen.
Even back in Columbine, it was Marilyn Manson and Rammstein and Doom. You know, it drives me crazy when people want to blame the three things that are like the most dear to me. You know.
Well, back in the late 70s and the 80s, it was if you're a Dungeons and Dragons player,
Yep.
If you listen to
you're going to be out killing
AC/DC,
people. Right.
Which AC/DC seems so tame by
nowadays,
comparison
yeah.
today.
are they blaming these movies, or are they just saying that, well, in light of recent events, maybe this isn't the best subject to be bringing up? Kind of like, yeah, you're at a funeral for, Uncle Larry, should you be telling syphilis jokes, or something like that?
I know. Did he die of
You know,
syphilis?
doesn't matter. It's really not the place for it. You know what I mean? It's just bad timing.
Yeah, and you have a really good point there, Brian, because there were movies where they canceled the screenings of it, like after 9/11. Weren't there movies about a plane crash
Right.
or something that makes sense? But a movie just because it's violent, canceling it.
Canceling the premiere. I mean, they still had the showing, but press didn't come. They didn't have an
Right.
event and everything else. And
Right.
it was out of respect for the families, which the families probably, I would guess, weren't even aware of it.
Right.
Weren't even aware that there was going to be a screening.
And if they were, they're not thinking about
I
it.
think where was it? I mean, my question is where was the premiere going to be held at? California?
Yes.
Like literally 3,000 miles away?
Yes.
Complete opposite corner of the country.
Yeah, I'm kind of think you're outside of that sensitivity area, and you're okay with a movie premiere. I'm not real sure how many of these parents, all due respect to them, we're going to be attending that event.
That's why I say, I think, honestly, and this is why it's my topic, because it really bothers me when people market shit based on tragedy just to get in the news. And that's what I see it as, is that, well, we got our big premiere coming, and now that's all the news is showing is Connecticut. The only way we're going to get on is if we have something to do with Connecticut. I truly believe that happens in the marketing heads, and that's how they decide to get it on the TV.
Man,
I would agree with you, actually.
Uh-oh.
I would hate to think you're right, but you have to know that there are producers in Hollywood that are like that.
Soulless bastards.
I mean, they're sharks in suits.
And please pay more attention to mental health. Don't make it about the movies and everything
Hey, and
else.
raise your fucking kids. Spend time with them. It ain't the freaking teacher's job to raise them.
Damn right. Look at Brian. Say it again. I like that.
It ain't it's not the teacher's job to raise your fucking kids. It's your job.
I grew up.
It's their job to give them a few guidelines, 8 hours a day, but it's your fucking job the other 16. So
8 hours.
fucking step up and do that.
5 and a
Spend
half.
some time with them.
I grew up watching violent movies. My mom, horror movies, action movies, but she was always very clear with me, this is fake, this is fake. I was always very clear on it. My kids, same thing. They grew up watching violent shit. Neither one of them have done anything violent outside of irritate me.
Yeah, they've caused you to do a few violent things.
Yeah, and that's different. That's not the movies that cause it. That's them. That's parents. Take some responsibility. Stop blaming everybody else. Start looking at what you do. And don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming the parents for everything. There's issues too for some people. But stop trying to find an excuse and find the problem. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sick.
Here.
I'm sick of hearing all those stupid debates. Let's go to Justin. Let's go to a happier topic. Justin, what's yours?
Well, being a writer and a reader, books and their adaptations in the film is something that's always on my mind. So I'm kind of curious, what book would you guys like to see adapted into a film that either hasn't already been or isn't currently in production to be a film? And Brian, I'll start with you.
All right. This book was actually due to be made into a film, and I believe they even started it, but there was another film that I guess got a faster, bigger, better start, and once it started getting some headway, it pretty much blew the doors off of any chance of my choice to be made here. But it's a book called Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, and it is a telling of the Battle of Thermopylae through the eyes of a fictional character survivor who was taken by the
Persians, yeah.
Right. And it was just a fantastic story. Read it, I believe, 2 times, maybe even 3 times, and was so excited when this was due to get a movie, but then 300 started coming along, and they're like, fuck this, we can't hang with it, and I guess they pulled out. So 300 got made. There's no chance in hell of this ever probably getting made, especially now when they're doing a sequel for 300.
301.
So yeah, that would be my choice. It is a fantastic book. Stephen Pressfield he also wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance, but most of his books are about historical characters, including Alexander the Great, and I want to say not Archimedes. Anyway, there's another Greek politician who was I'm drawing a blank right now. But anyway, it's another fantastic book. He is a fantastic author and would love to see maybe something else done instead of the 300 story.
Cool. Scotty?
Mine is a fantasy series that I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, but it's the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. The first book is called Wizard's First Rule. So the first fantasy series I ever read, and I actually haven't completed it yet, but the characters in it are some of the most vibrant, interesting characters I've read, and I would love to see them on film. Particularly the villain in Wizard's First Rule. Actually, the whole series. The picture I have in my head, I just want to see that bad guy in a movie. I would be all over that.
Well, very good. Aaron, what about you?
Well, when I was a kid, maybe it's because I love Scooby-Doo, I don't know, but I was obsessed with these kids' books about T-Bo the talking dog. He was basically, this brother and sister were the only ones that could understand him, and their dog would talk to him and help them solve crimes and things like that.
Did you grow up and play for the Jets?
Wow, nice, really? So he would lead them through mysteries involving anything from normal crime stuff to the stuff of fantasy. I mean, it really went all over the place. What I loved about the series was that it was told through imagination. I mean, you really, unlike a lot of big books where it's very, very descriptive, you kind of just had to go with it. You really had to stretch your imagination to buy into this world. And the way it was just written wonderfully, and it was written for kids. And I would love to see that become a film for the jaded-ass families of today.
I didn't even think of going that route, like a kid's book. Yeah, you got me thinking like Tales of Fourth Grade Nothing or something.
Oh, that's what I would love to see that. I always love those books.
Well, that's where Aaron's heart's always at, with the kids.
Gives new meaning to a minor magic, huh?
Well, none of you motherfuckers can mention one of my books. I got it. That's all right. Haywire, I know, would make a fucking phenomenal movie. Hollywood, call me. We can make a deal. I have 2. One of them I know will never be made into a film, and it's, you can't say any book is unfilmable because, hell, the people who did Cloud Atlas were told that, and I think they made a fantastic film. But there's a book by Robert Heinlein called Stranger in a Strange Land that is about a young man named Michael Valentine Smith who is born on Mars. But because he was the first human born on Mars, when he's brought back to Earth, he's kind of considered now the owner of Mars because of the laws. But he was raised by Martians. And so he's got these telepathic abilities and telekinetic abilities that the Martians have given him, but he's human. And so the whole book is about how does a person who looks like us yet was raised by beings completely unlike us integrate into our society. What happens to him and what happens to society? And it's a fantastic, fantastic book. The book though, that could be made into a movie and almost was, but now it's just in development hell and probably never will, and that's much to my sadness, is a book called Heart-Shaped Box, written by Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son. This was his first full-length novel, and it's, of the 2 he's published, it's my favorite. The second one is called Horns, and that's actually being made into a movie right now with Daniel Radcliffe playing the lead in that. Heart-Shaped Box for me is a better book, because it's about this aging rock star named Judas Cone and how he's kind of spending his retirement collecting morbid memorabilia. And one of the things that he ends up buying is a suit worn by a dead man. and it's said to be haunted. And so he wants to buy it. And of course, it gets delivered in a heart-shaped box, and he ends up getting a lot more for his money than he thought he would. It's a fantastic book. I think it would make an amazing film. I really wish somebody would get this out of development hell and put it up on screen, because I think it's better than Horns. But if Horns does well enough, then maybe they'll give this one another go. But Heart-Shaped Box is a really, really, really good book.
And Nirvana could do the soundtrack.
They could. Well, if they were still alive.
Well, yeah.
Brian?
Now that 3D has pretty much been done successfully, and we've got this 48 frames per second mess that's on us, for better or worse. Hopefully they figure out how to make it work. What technological advances would you guys like to see movies or even movie theaters make next? Start with you, Aaron. What you want to see?
I want 4D theaters, like you have in theme parks. Probably only in like IMAX theaters, because they're probably the ones that could afford to do it. But I want that vapor mist hitting your neck when you know someone's creeping up on you. I want wind blowing on your face when someone is running. I mean, impress the fuck out of me.
I didn't think about that. That's pretty cool.
I did a Star Trek ride in Las Vegas back when they had the Star Trek experience. They had 2 of those, and that was the last.
Wasn't it? I mean, that'd be a fantastic way to see a movie.
I saw the Terminator one a couple years ago, and it still holds up. Mm-hmm. It still looks pretty solid.
Anything you guys want to see?
I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, but that's kind of what I was looking for, is somehow try to figure out how to get sense. I mean, your sense of smell is the strongest of all your senses, and
Art's coming past my nose.
Let's go back to smell-o-vision.
So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them figure out something like that, and also the breezes, the maybe a mist or something like that. I mean, you kind of have to, I guess, go in prepared for, I guess, whatever. You can't get too dressed up, but. I mean, something like that. There needs to be something else to kind of make that experience to kind of suck you in, and just where you get totally immersed in whatever you're watching. Justin, what you got?
Well, this already exists, but it doesn't exist in nearly enough theaters. In fact, I only know of 1 theater of all of them that surround me that have it. But I'll never forget when I was a kid and I went into an arcade, and I saw this cabinet sitting low slung against the corner for a game called Afterburner. And it was one of those like an F-14 Tomcat games. You sit down, grab the stick, and you get ready to fly. I'll never forget that moment of sitting down in it, putting my quarters in, grabbing the stick, turning it, and then all of a sudden it felt like the entire fucking machine was jolting me left and right as the seat was being moved in time to my movements with the sticks. It blew my little fucking brain. And ever since that, I've always felt like games that didn't have some kind of sensory component to it sucked. And it wasn't until the Nintendo 64 came out with their little vibration thing that I felt like we were starting to get back to some of that. D-box seating is something that I want every theater to have. And D-box is basically where the chair you're sitting in will rumble and vibrate and shift a little bit in time to the actions on the screen. I want my seat to rumble, and not just because I let one go.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. You're watching Pacific Rim. You got the point of view of somebody that's in one of those Jaegers, those big robot suits. You know, it jumps, it lands, your seat rocks. Mist of water spraying on your face like you're, got splashed in the ocean or something.
Or for the ladies, Twilight or Magic Mike, you're getting a twofer.
Really?
Wow. You really went there?
Wah, wah, wah.
Expect that of Aaron, but not.
You expect that out of me? Fuck you.
The only thing about the mist thing, though, is I wear glasses, and if you fuck with my glasses, it's on.
What about you, Scott?
Speaking of glasses, I think the next step logically after 3D is glasses-less 3D. We've seen the technology there with
They call those plays.
Yeah. Good call. Unfortunately, the cost of getting those actors to every theater in the country might be a little high, but we know they can do 3D without having to wear glasses, and I think the technology needs to move up a little bit there. Because It doesn't bother me as much to wear the glasses, but I would much rather watch it without glasses.
Mm-hmm. Okay, recasting the classics, Justin.
All right, well, this is our segment where one of us is given a movie and five characters in that movie that they're going to recast. We're trying to keep this in the classics, meaning 15 years or older. Last week, I gave Aaron North by Northwest, and I wanted him to recast the characters of Roger Thornhill, Eve Kendall, Philip Van Damme, the Professor, and Leonard. So, Aaron, take her away.
Okay, well, the Professor was pretty easy. That's the government operative. That I would pick Russell Crowe because he just has that aura, and he's so good at playing guys who control people's fates without really giving a shit about them. He's really good at that. I like what he could bring to that. Philip Van Damme, he's the chief villain in the movie. The guy, I wanted something different. I want to kind of go a different route than what the movie did because, to me, remaking that truly is a classic, and I think if you're going to do it different. Don't do it like Psycho did and do it the exact same. I would pick Peter Dinklage. I would love to see him as a cool, vicious villain, and I think that's the right movie for that. As his side guy, Leonard, the hitman, I want The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. I love Dwayne Johnson, man, and I'd love to see him in a badass role. He's a great badass. And I'd like to see him play more reserved. Leonard in the movie, for those that aren't familiar, Leonard's very reserved. He's very calm. He's very... he's just methodical and he's there. And I'd like to see The Rock do that, but with his stature, scare the piss out of, my hero. Make sense? Mm-hmm.
Now, would he carry Van Damme around on his shoulder?
Oh, that would be like a little troll doll. Yeah.
like a parrot.
Yeah. A talking parrot. Eve Kendall, that would be Eva Marie Saint from North by Northwest, the beautiful lady working both sides. That would be Emma Stone. The character has to be sweet and innocent while also being able to flip and go balls to the wall. And Emma Stone is the kind of the go-to for that character right now. And I really had a hard time thinking of anybody better than her. And Roger Thornhill. George. Who the hell's George? George Clooney? No, not him. Roger Thornhill, because I went with Emma Stone, I had to go a little younger than what I would normally be thinking. And Cary Grant is really hard to duplicate. His aura, his physicality, his sense of humor, all that stuff, the style, the grace, that's hard to do. So I picked Matthew Bomer from White Collar. I don't know if you've ever seen White Collar, but he plays the thief in White Collar. He's a very talented, younger actor. They need to have somebody with that air of sarcasm. He plays class well. He's very classy. He's very stylish. He almost plays a Cary Grant-ish character in that series. And he has to play that suave that later turns into a hero while also never wrinkling a well-tailored suit. And because I'm going younger, he's the perfect choice for me. Pierce Brosnan would probably be my choice if I went with the same age. But I'm going with the younger cast, so Matthew Bomer is the guy I picked.
I've never heard of this dude, or what is White Collar?
White Collar is a TV show on USA.
Is that like one of those psych fuck shows
No,
only you know about?
He's a con artist and thief who basically helps the FBI. It's very much a Cary Grant-ish role. If you go watch one episode, you'll understand why I picked him.
Was he the guy that was in Chuck?
No, that's not him. Different guy.
See, I thought you were going to go with Ryan Gosling, maybe.
Fuck no. Nope. And these are my picks, not yours. So
He's too busy doing Drive 2.
This week, we're going to go to Scott. So, Scott, the movie I'm giving you to recast, which will be in a couple weeks.
Grease 2?
That would be great. I kind of felt bad for him because Scott he got Grease and he hates that movie last time. So I'm going to give you one of your favorites. I'm going to give you Back to the Future.
Oh, wow, that's hard.
I want you to recast Marty McFly, Doc, George McFly, Lorraine, and Biff. You got to recast Biff.
Won't you make like a tree and get out of here?
All right, let's go to closing. Justin, let's read our email.
All right, we've got an email here from Gringo Saga. He says, oh, man, one of my all-time hottie loves. Gremlins with Phoebe. I can't believe she married Kevin Kline Cates. Gringo, I'm assuming you've heard this song, but if you've not, go look up a song called Phoebe. It is fucking phenomenal. Anyway, I'm only halfway through this episode to have some commentary. Whatever you guys ate or did before the show, think about duplicating it every week because it makes because it seems much livelier and naturally funnier this week. You guys do good every week, but it just seems more so this time. Ringo Sog. Baby, I bring my A game every week. If it's sagging, it ain't on me.
Way to play as a team, Justin. Way to play as a team.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brian?
All right, this is from Sue. She says, Gremlins. Figure that old chestnut is due for a remake soon. Continuing to love the show and continuing to be grateful for the hours of entertainment y'all provide. All the good things in life really are free. Hey, Brian. Sup? Wishing you all a wonderful and prosperous 2013. Hey, Sue.
See, I read that with a bit more sup. A little more, hey, how you doing?
You know what? That's because you were reading it your way and I was reading it my way.
Oh.
I was reading it more in your favor, but all right, fuck off.
Well, okay. I've got one more. This is from Jess. Aaron, Merry Christmas, guys. She said, oh, wait, that's just my name. I wrote it. I was all excited for a second. She says, Merry Christmas, guys. I have no idea what the movie clip was, but I do have an idea for a discussion topic. At the time of year when all the other movie critics are arguing the merits of films like The Master or Beasts of the Southern Wild or Once Upon a Time in Anatolia, in order to form their 2012 top 10 list, I would like to hear you guys do a characteristically, God, Aaron, Hollywood Outsider thing and talk about the most fun movies of the year. I suppose the top 10 would be a bit much with the four of you. Like, that stopped us. But you could maybe touch on your top three each. And I would think for the purposes of this discussion that we can just assume the Avengers win. So let's just say that one doesn't count. Thanks for another year of podcasts, Jess. Just so you know, we are going to have our podcast Whole Awards, and that's going to be part of that episode. So we will address it in 2 weeks. So be sure to tune into that episode. So we aren't forgetting you. We're just saying, come back in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Please come back. Scotty?
We kind of put a question out there on Twitter and asked people to give us their thoughts on the 48 frames per second of Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey. We got a response from Junebug Johnston. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. I can never tell if it's Johnston or Johnston.
He says just call me J-Bug.
J-Bug. Call me J-Bug. She or he says the 48 frames per second was in some moments glorious and in others reminiscent of masterpiece theater. Overall, positive review, though.
That's pretty much what Justin said.
Except not.
Except that
Sucked.
look how quickly they did it. They did it in like a sentence.
Yeah. It took you like 40 minutes. Didn't
Hey, well, you know what? Fuck it. Why don't you call them and have them come on the show?
Oh, you can always find us on thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Stay through the credits for outtakes. Facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders. And please email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com with any concerns or questions or thoughts or topics you want to suggest. And send us your top 3 movies of the year. We will mention your number 1 on the air and who picked it, as well as the number 1 pick from all our listeners is going to be the whole movie of the year. So be sure to send that in. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Reader, listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed. As well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com, Thursdays from 4 to 6. I want to quickly thank each of the podcasters. Brian, thanks for being here, buddy.
Hey, my pleasure.
Justin.
Yes, sir.
A Minor Magic, available now on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. I hope people like it.
The link is once again in the show notes, so if you need to know where that is, there's a link. Click it. Buy it. Make him rich.
By 2.
Because if it doesn't sell well, he gets cranky, and then our lives suck. So really, you're doing us a favor. And Scott Clark.
I know it's a little bit early, but we're not going to be here next week. I want to wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Kwanahanza.
Nice. Good job.
Just Merry Christmas, everybody.
And next week, we will have our Best of 2012 show where we will cut some of our favorite topics from the past year into one episode. If there's one you thought should make the cut, email us, and we'll try to get it in there if we can. We'll be back in 2 weeks with an all-new show where we'll also unveil our Ho Awards. And remember, guys, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn. I liked your voice last week. You sounded really manly.
This week?
No, last week. This week you sound like a bitch. Justin, did you leave?
No.
Are you reading your book?
He's good for a minute and a half.
So, Scott.
Kind of like sex.
Come on, I can double that.
Oh God! And I just got images of your fucking hairless, pasty body. Ugh, God.
Images. I'll send you pictures. Oh. Whoa, what was that?
Sorry, I got an email.
Even
You are such a fucking nerd.
He talks about video games on the show more than I do.
That's because you're afraid I'm going to hit you.
Exactly.
This is the Hollywood Outsider weekly entertainment podcast where this week we're... What? I'm married to a woman of race. All I got to do is whip out a picture of my wife. I'm good.
Oh, yeah. What's that? That's the married version. I have a black friend.
Yep.
Did you guys see that thing on Facebook today where apparently rubbing boobs helps protect them from breast cancer?
No, but I want to help.
Something about pressure on cells keeps them in their normal state as opposed to cancering out. So, I like to think of myself as a healer.